For the first time, potentially fatal levels of radiation have been discovered outside the crippled nuclear plant, raising concerns that contamination is working its way further into Japan's water and food supplies and foreshadowing a long and expensive cleanup. Nuclear engineer Barrett knows what it takes to mop up a catastrophic mess like this. Lake led the initial response to the 3 Mile Island accident here in the United States. He's with us this morning from Washington. Lake, just how alarming are these latest developments in your mind?
Well, it's to be expected in a situation like they have over there in Japan at the moment. They have a lot of damage to the cores. They have a lot of radioactive water and contamination inside the plant. So it is very, very challenging for them.
Can this disaster be contained? When you have water with these levels of radiation getting outside the plant, what does that mean?
Well, you can never 100% contain anything in life. So the majority of the radioactivity is in the cores, it is in the plant, but they have probably several million gallons of highly radioactive water in the plant, on floors in the buildings. And there is ventilation. There's not much ventilation filters in the building. So some of that slowly seeps out into the air, and they're doing their best to contain it right now.
Lake, help us explain just what the different kinds of radiation mean to the ecosystem and to the environment. Some of the radiation will dissipate pretty quickly, right? Where are the major concerns?
Well, the iodine-131 that you hear about, that has an 8-day half-life, so that decays away fairly quickly. So that's just a short-term impact. The larger concern would be radioactive cesium-137 and strontium-90, which has longer half-lives. But that is mostly in the water. It is locally in the plant. With very sensitive instruments, you can detect it outside the plant. But as far as being a great health concern, as long as the people follow the instructions and stay out of the evacuated area, I think they should be fine from a health point of view.
Lake, we're beginning to hear more about plutonium. What's the significance of plutonium in this situation?
Well, plutonium is something that is more emotional than it is technical in this situation. I think the biggest concern people have is the cesium and the strontium and the iodine in the short haul. Yes, there is some plutonium in there. There's always plutonium in reactor fuel. So it makes more emotional news to talk about plutonium.
All right, let's talk about some of the business, let's say, of cleaning up this operation. Can you, at this point, estimate or give us some kind of sense of what it might cost, how long it might take, how much of a burden this is going to be on the Japanese people and the Japanese economy for years to come?
Well, it's a big challenge. We had a damaged core similar to what they have there at 3 Mile Island, though we had a much better situation where it was all contained within our containment building. But that took over 10 years and about $1 billion to do that here. This is a much bigger task over there. So it's going to be decades and many billions of dollars to clean it up, but it's just a large industrial catastrophe internally to the plant. It's not a health catastrophe for the country.
Not a health catastrophe yet, but as you point out, 3 Mile Island was totally contained within the reactor building. Here, lots of stuff appears to have been exposed to the atmosphere, and radiation is finding its way already into vegetables and the Tokyo water supply. So at what point in your mind does it become a health disaster as opposed to just an operational disaster?
Well, I don't think it's going to become a health disaster. I think we're on the better side now. Things are cooling down. They're getting cooling water into the reactors and the spent fuel pool. So I think we're on the better side of that. But you're going to start to have findings of some radioactivity outside for weeks ahead. So there'll be news about it. But I don't think overall it's going to be a huge health catastrophe that some people predict.
So compare, if you will, this situation to what we saw take place at Chernobyl and the after effects of Chernobyl over the past 25 years.
Well, I think Chernobyl was a much worse situation. That was a Soviet reactor that basically blew itself up and spread things all over the area there. This is a different type of reactor. There's a lot of water, and most of the radioactivity is kept in the water locally on the plant, although you can see leakage outside the plant. It's very hard to predict what the future is going to be here, but I don't think we expect to see a Chernobyl-type situation there.
Okay. Blake, thanks so much for joining us. It's Lake Barrett, a nuclear engineer and former deputy director of the Office of Civilian Radioactive Waste Management.